Hey people, Fernando doing another video for the channel. Hope everyone had a great Christmas yesterday. Yeah, didn't do the live stream, family stuff. You know how this goes. But anyway, hope everyone had a great time. So we want to talk about the winter storm ongoing in the United States. Apparently it's getting a little bit better. Still, millions of people that are struggling with weather-related emergencies. Let's try to learn from these experiences so as to not get caught ourselves when we end up encountering them. Let's just first check these out.
Bitter cold temperatures, blizzard conditions, and flooding to much of the country.
Just stings the eyes. You feel like you immediately have icicle.
Now, not how complex these things are. It's just not only the dropping temperatures, flooding, snow, getting trapped. So it's quite complex. There's several aspects, several fronts that you need to cover in terms of preparedness so as to be ready for something like this.
The country.
Just stings the eyes. You feel like you immediately have
clothes, clothing, eye protection.
Burns the nose. Try to keep everything covered up.
Buffalo, New York getting more than 2 feet of snow. The airport shut down until Monday. 2/3 of emergency response vehicles are stuck across the city. And officials are warning residents to check furnace vents to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning.
Good point.
It is life-threatening what is going on as we speak in Buffalo.
In Kentucky, more than 700 vehicles were stuck on a 14-mile stretch of I-71.
Lots of
after
trucks.
An emergency highway closure.
We were able to evacuate most by shutting down the interstate and turning them around. Now, we can get some of those that are stuck.
One key point here, do listen to what authorities have to say. I know it's kind of like, oh, I'm against the government. Yeah, sure. But a little bit of common sense goes a long way. Some dude doing a hard job in the middle of the storm, telling people, just don't go this way. Probably he's not having some malicious plan in his mind. He's probably just trying to warn people of something that could be potentially dangerous. So keep that in mind.
Northbound, but it's going to take some time.
Roughly 50 cars were involved in a deadly multi-car pileup on Interstate 80 in Ohio. Snow and ice to blame.
Speed.
This is a stark reminder of what can happen when you get behind the wheel and try to drive in bad weather conditions.
If you can avoid it, by all means.
Thousands of flights have been canceled or delayed. On Friday alone, nearly 6,000 flights were canceled, the most of any day this year.
What we've done is to make sure our restaurants, our concessions have stayed open late. We have passed out blankets.
Powerful wind also taking a toll, ripping the roof off this hotel in
another threat,
and causing this tree to come crashing down on
debris,
a car, trapping a man inside. First responders getting him to the hospital. They say he's doing well. Phil Lipoff, ABC
So
News.
anyway, you kind of get the idea here as of what we're dealing with. You have several aspects. Power outages. How is it that you stay warm during very cold winters? Do you have alternative sources of heating? You probably have electric. I mean, you may have a furnace that works on heating fuel, on heating oil, right? Now you ideally would have A, B, C, at least 3 sources of warmth, of heat for your house in case one of those goes down. With something this critical, I mean, there's places in which you will literally freeze to death if you cannot stay warm. So even more so in these places. If you have electric, that would be the most delicate one, the most likely to go down if there's any problem with the grid. So that would be your less stable, your less resilient source of heating. If firewood, yeah, that's fantastic. If you have a fireplace, that's definitely, especially not all fireplaces are created the same. Some are more efficient than others. I very much like those that have like a glass door and proper ventilation around the metal box so as to make the most out of that organic fuel that you're burning, right? It's not just a matter of how nice it looks. Sometimes a fireplace may look very nice, but it's not exactly engineered, fine-tuned for maximum heating. It's just more about aesthetics and looks. So a well-made fireplace that can keep your house nice and warm. And finally, one of my favorite ones are the kerosene, kerosene or paraffin heaters. Those things are super reliable, and you can have a decent amount of fuel stored safely because kerosene is super safe to store. And these things are used in Japan in apartment buildings. So even in an apartment building, you can have this yourself and still have an alternative emergency source of heating if it comes down to that. Now, probably from the preparedness aspect, one of the key things, as I describe in that book, Bugging Out and Relocating, is strategically selecting where you live. That seems to be overlooked at times. We focus on all of the things we can do when these things happen. Even better if you're not dealing with it at all. Now, this comes down to, yes, the famous personal preference thing. Yeah, but it is part of planning. Part of the planning I go through myself personally is, selecting places where I have the maximum amount of benefit, the least amount of potential issues to be addressed during emergencies. And part of that is, yes, weather. Right now, I don't have any kind of heating. I'm just wearing a t-shirt. It's like 68 degrees in here. So yeah, that's part of preparedness as well. Now, oh, Fernando, but I love living here and I don't care about winter. I like winter. I like snow. I like snow as well, especially for skiing. That's when I like snow the most. Now, and yes, a little bit of snow in Christmas is nice, but it's also nice to not freeze to death and not worry about cold weather. Again, personal preference goes a long way here, and the way in which you like living. Who could possibly argue against that? But as part of your preparedness, be realistic as of the pros and cons of wherever it is that you end up living. One of those is, if you don't have to worry about heating pretty much year-round, that is a big bonus in my book. So if that's not your case, then make sure you have those alternative ways of heating and staying warm. Clothing, crucial. Not all clothes are the same. For the cotton stuff like this is for warm weather. This is not the kind of thing you want to be wearing when you're outside, and being cold and wet means you're dead. You're an ice block if you have wet cotton on you. I mean, being wet in general. Wool does help a little bit more in terms of keeping you warm, even when a little bit humid or a little bit wet. And I would even go with glasses. You want to have some kind of eye protection. This woman says it's like popsicles, stuck in your eyelashes. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you get when you have such low temperatures. Going out driving, avoid it as much as you can. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but some people say, it will be fine. No, it will not. You have to be careful. Even the way in which you select your vehicle. As your daily driver, you have a bug-out vehicle for the end of the world, but you drive a vehicle that is less suited for these weather conditions. All-wheel drive, that would be one of the things you definitely want to have. Do you have a kit in your vehicle in case you're stuck at times for several days in the middle of the road because of the snow that you suddenly are dealing with? So do you have ways of keeping yourself warm, having warm drinks, food in a vehicle that is stuck in the middle of a blizzard? Well, these may be the things that make the difference between life and death. There's nothing you can do. And if you start walking, here's where the mental aspect of preparedness comes into play. The skills, the knowledge that you've accumulated over the years. You do not go walking in the middle of a blizzard. You will die. There's nothing you can do. You will just, unless you have within a very obvious visible range, the shelter, you will not make it that far. You will freeze to death. You will get tired. You will get cold, and you will drop dead. That's basically what happens with people that want to, it's just a couple of miles, we can make it. Yeah, probably not. Be very self-conscious, aware of your limitations. A lot of people have never done this before. A lot of people have no idea what they're putting themselves into when they just start walking in the middle of a blizzard. You will die. Stay put, stay warm, have your kit in your vehicle. All of these things, critical. In terms of floods, not much you can do with a car other than avoiding it. You don't want to find yourself in this situation. Even if you have but I have a F-100 pickup truck. Fine. Your pickup truck will be just as useless as this other car right there. There's no point in trying to drive over water with your car. Yes, if you have an all-wheel drive, and I've been in that situation before where the right car, the right engine, diesel usually has a little bit more torque. Well, actually has a lot more torque, and it can get you through situations that your gas vehicle probably cannot. So yes, all of these things help, but there's a limitation. When you see water that is covering over half of your tire, that is a no-go. That is something that you just do not risk it. When that water is over half of your tire, just don't do it, man. You will have a stuck vehicle, and you'll be there in the middle of the water with your car. So all of these things, so important. What else? Debris, car crashes. If you've never seen cars just trying to maneuver as they just slide on the ice, all the traction in the world will not help you if your car is just like a hockey puck sliding over the ice. There's no possible traction unless you have a freaking tank that is biting into the ice. You don't have any traction with any kind of car. So avoid it. There's no point in putting yourself at this kind of risk. There's just all lost, nothing to be gained. So just don't go. Stay put, wait, and that's it. Even stuff like the kind of gear that you have when traveling, in case of delay. Sometimes spending your night in the airport, what is that would make that stay more comfortable, safer? Wind, debris, all of this stuff is the way you avoid it is by not being there. In terms of your house, don't have stuff that can be dragged and ripped away because of wind and may end up stuck or striking someone as the wind carries it away. Make sure everything is secured in place in case you have strong winds. And do take care of tall trees around your buildings, around your house. Those may end up falling and causing severe damage to the structure of your house. These mostly common sense stuff, sometimes we just don't think about it, or even if we think about it, we just delay it. We wait until later. Guys, that's basically it. Some of the tips that you want to keep in mind so as to stay safe during these kind of winter storms. Stay warm, stay safe. See you on our next one. And remember, if you're interested in learning more about survival and preparedness, you have my books over there. Surviving the Economic Collapse, Street Survival Skills, and Bugging Out and Relocating. Available in Amazon, following the links there below. Take care.